Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Most brush it off or they blame themselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo. Or people make excuses and say, I had a long day at work. Or, sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. Guys, with Roman, it is easy to talk about. With a real healthcare professional who can help prescribe real medication, it's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/Chael. Complete the online visit. Go to getroman.com/Chael today. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of ED treatment. I got asked a really simple question earlier. I got asked, what do you do with the loser of Conor versus Poirier? And it's such a simple question, but also one I would never think of. I mean, I don't know that I've ever looked at a fight and thought about it in reverse. It's always, what are these guys fighting for? Where does the winner go? Is this a contenders match? You look at this match specifically of Conor versus Poirier, or at the last minute between now and January 23rd, they're going to announce that this is for the unified title, Khabib's championship. Okay. But it is a tough one. It is a little bit of a tough one because it's not the same for both guys. All right, let's look at it from a winner perspective. Where does Conor go from there? I imagine into a world title fight. But is that against Khabib? See where this specific question is a little more problematic than other questions. Not only are we looking at it from reverse of what happens with the loser, guys, we don't even know what happens with the winner. We do not know that the winner goes on and fights Khabib for the championship, of which he is officially the champion in the USADA pool, and of which he says, I'm never coming back to defend against anybody, period. So more likely than not, the winner of this fight does not go on to fight Khabib, but would qualify for a world title fight itself. Can we agree on that? Okay. It doesn't make us right, but for the sake of conversation, can we agree on that? Okay. So then is that going to be opposite the other big fight that you have in that division, which is Dan Hooker versus Michael Chandler? Is it possible that Chandler's second time in the octagon is for a world championship? I'm going to argue yes. Not only do I argue that it is possible, it was possible that his first time in the octagon was going to be for a world championship because he was the backup fighter for Gaethje versus Khabib, which means if he was to have stepped in, it would have been for the world title. So I think that that's not going to be a bit of a roadblock. But that wasn't the question. The question was, if you look at it in reverse, and what's good for the goose is not good for the gander here. It's not the same thing. Where does Conor go? Back to a main event. Where does Conor go? Remains at being the highest paid athlete in the sport. If crowds come back, he'll go break some kind of a crowd record again, of which he has the top 4. The only person he loses to is a record that he himself has set, known as Madison Square Garden against Eddie Alvarez with a $17.2 million gate. I mean, the point is, not a lot's going to change here for Conor. We just don't know how much it's going to improve. Is he going to draw into a title fight? Is that then going to entice Khabib back, or are we finally by that point going to be done with the Khabib experiment and we just elevate the Chandler-Hooker fight? Is Chandler-Hooker even the right fight to be looking at? Because what does that mean for Charlie Olives? What's happening to him? What's happening to that big long run that he's been on? Do you see where this starts to be problematic? Not to mention, if Dustin wins, the least appetizing fight that you want to see of the ones that could be presented for you is Khabib versus Dustin Part 2. I'm talking about you. I understand that those athletes want to get in there and get that back. If I was to offer you guys, do you want to see Chandler versus Khabib, or would you rather see Khabib versus Poirier? You're going to take Chandler. If I say, would you rather see Oliveira versus Khabib? Or would you rather see Dustin and Khabib do it again? You're going to take Oliveira. If I say Conor versus Khabib, you're going to take Conor. If I say Dan Hooker versus Khabib or Dustin versus Khabib, you're going to, the last fight that you want to see of that parity is Khabib versus Dustin again. But if Dustin wins, he would qualify for a world title fight, at least we think. And if Khabib doesn't come back, then who is he going to draw into? And all of those fights are very interesting. Chandler versus Poirier is fascinating. Hooker versus Poirier goes down as the greatest round. I believe it was round 4, the single greatest round of fighting I've ever seen. And it's a fight of the year candidate. Charles Oliveira working his way in there against Poirier. But I mean, do you see where it's very different? So if Conor wins, we don't know for sure where he goes. A little bit frustrating for a fight of this level, but we just don't know. If Conor loses, man, he's got a lot of great options. It's Conor. He's unique. He's an anomaly. The personality is the commodity. Every other athlete, the performance is the commodity. So he's a little bit unique. How far would Conor fall? Not very far. Guaranteed his next fight is a main event with everybody watching. Where would Poirier go? Where would Poirier go? Matchup-wise, where would he go? He's a complete stud who can beat anybody on any given night in an extremely loaded division. So now you got to be careful how you play him. Even if you really want to see Dustin versus Oliveira, you've still got a young and upcoming Oliveira who at least offers some parity to the mix that Dustin is very capable of eliminating. So it gets to be, this is where the politics start coming in. This is where you got to start being really careful with the matchmaking. And I don't know that we're right to say that in Khabib's absence, okay, talking Khabib's absence, that the winner of Conor and Dustin takes on the winner of Dan the Hangman versus Michael Chandler. I don't know that anybody's given us that clarity, but boy, it sure appears that that's what's going to happen. I mean, it would appear that nobody's going to be complaining. So then now you've only got 2 pieces left on the board, which is Oliveira and Gaethje. And that sounds like a very good idea to me.